Guilt says I'm when devil's to blame. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, full numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd shout no way. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
This just in. A sudden spike in logic levels across the city. Citizens report seeing a man with glasses and a podcast mic. We go now live to Liberal Dan.
Yo, who you gonna call when Nazi writings on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, cause you know we got a plan. The right wing talking shit, but he ain't about to quit. He'll take his proton pack and zap your logic cause it's whack. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall.
It's being reported that Liberal Dan is setting up what appears to be some sort of straw man containment field.
He's calling out your lies with his mic, he'll vaporize. Cross the streams in your dreams, bitch, you know that he's too wise. You're like Slimer talking crap, but you walked into his trap. Yo, it's more than entertainment, it's misinformation contained. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. The Statue of Liberty, the writing you can see. So bring the huddled masses, it's a war of the classes. While Trump may think he's Vigo, Dan can cut through that ego. He's got the facts to prove him wrong, got that logic like Egon. Your logic is a ghost, cause you know this chick is toast. When you follow MTG, it's conspiracy, you'll see. There's no need to taser, he's got wit like Occam's razor. Liberal Dan cuts those lies with his Jewish face laser.
It's unbelievable. Liberal Dan just used the literal dog whistle to lure a large group of internet trolls into what is being called a self-collapsing rhetoric singularity. In all my years of reporting, I've never seen anything like this.
So don't call to be a heckler, you ain't no Judge Rexler. He'll bust you like Scolary, cause your logic's looking hairy. Right-wing callers think they're cool, but they sounding just like Zool. You the dog, he the man, and yo, his name is Liberal Dan. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. Liberal Dan, Liberal Dan, Liberal Dan.
Proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. Faux patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated. Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water. They're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. Unmasking hypocrisy, the truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. Cause Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. gaslight. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left. That's right.
And welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you live from New Orleans, Louisiana. To join the conversation, you can join us in the chat threads at liberaldanradio.com or twitch.liberaldanradio.com. Either way will get you there. We may or may not open up the phone lines today. If we do, it'll be very briefly. I have things to take care of. Basically, just to start the show off with a bit of just how badly 2026 is starting for me. We get an email, and all of the stuff that I'm saying is now publicly available, so I don't have a problem saying it. But we get an email in our work email inboxes that my law firm that I work for, or actually, I guess it's not my law firm, but the law firm that I work for, I guess the partners all decided to have a vote, and they decided to dissolve the law firm. So I don't have a set time period. I don't have a set time frame where I need to find a new position by, but I'm seeing people like leaving very quickly. And while there will be need for me to do work that I do, specifically because there'll be need for me to help all of these all of the things that I've done to help the clients of the law firm, probably have to help the attorneys get the clients their information over to their new firms that they're going over to, which kind of sucks for me because while I am a professional and will continue to do my job as I need to do my job because that's what I'm getting paid for, I'm basically will be doing work up until the point where I lose my job that's helping me lose my job. So that's where I'm at right now. So if you want to support the show, please remember to like the video, share, comment on all sorts of videos. I did notice people like Orvilleby did comment on one of the YouTube threads and said, hey, it's Orvilleby. I appreciate you for doing that. I'm sure other people have as well. I think P-Dubs did. I had said that she shared the video, so awesome for that. Thank you so much. But if I'm going to be able to survive this year, which is now getting worse and worse and worse, I'm going to have the podcast take off so I could have at least some, sort of thing to, rely on, because as of right now, I don't know what the heck's going to happen. I'm already reeling financially because of my mother-in-law passing away and all of the bills that we've racked up since that took place. And now I'm facing this. At least I got all my surgeries done last year, right? At least that's all taken care of, right? So, anything y'all can do to help out. I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and constantly beg for money. I mean, you can support the show, Venmo, Patreon, Super Chat, Super Stickers, buy memberships, become a liberal Danimal on YouTube, or you can gift subscriptions. You can gift memberships on YouTube, gift subscriptions on Twitch, etc. But yeah, this is not going to be. This is not starting off to be the best year for me personally and my family. We're going to try and make the best of it. I've already reached out to a former person that I did contract work for, and we will see if they have anything available for me to work on in the short term. Because, well, I don't know what else to say about, it's just, I want to scream. I want to scream into the air. I want to yell. I want to whatever. But there's plenty of other things to scream and yell about too because of this administration and how horrible they are. I guess I won't be working. I guess one place I won't be submitting resumes at is the federal government because there's no way that I'm gonna get hired, right? Especially if you have to like sign loyalty pledges or whatever to this orange fascist that's in charge of this country. So no, I won't be doing that. But it's just. If it's not one that, like, we literally just dealt with the issue, like, where dealing with my mother-in-law's house has gotten a lot easier in the past month or so. We've gotten to that part, and now everything else just falls apart. And, like, Monday morning, I was just having this malaise, this funk, and the last time I had this sort of feeling that something was just not going right, I lost my job. And I was not going to say anything about it because I didn't want to jinx it, but apparently I was right, and I'm losing my job. Now, granted, again, there's some time where I have opportunities to go try and apply for new employment. So if y'all know of any software developer positions for somebody with like 20 years experience in the business who will be looking for, whatever, looking for like my VB.net, SharePoint, stuff like that, email me. Actually, email me liberaldanradio@gmail.com. I have other email addresses, but just send it to liberaldanradio@gmail.com. And if you have any, if you're hearing of anything will help. So I'm just so frustrated now, and it's been a rough 2 days. I didn't sleep well Monday night or Tuesday. I didn't sleep well last night, and today is just. I mean, I wasn't very productive today, but there wasn't really much to do because, I mean, all these projects that I was going to plan to do a great job on in 2026 are now gone with the wind, as they say. So, but yeah. George did every game. I wonder if someone will resign their post in the federal government and right before resigning walk out with the Epstein files and leak them. That'd be great. But yeah, Steve, exactly. Like I needed that. What's up, Steve, from across the pond? Got Gillespie. We got Aaron in the chat. We got Jeff from just north of Uranus. Mr. Non-funny this year, apparently, I guess, is what Jeff is saying. So, and Jolie's not here to, at least at the moment, to remind him to not be funny. So, don't be funny. I wouldn't mind you being funny, but whatever. Hey, Christine, good to see you as well. I saw your crochet thing. Very cute. I couldn't do it. That's not one way that I can make money, that's for sure. Anyway, so let's get to the topic. So tonight's show is probably not going to be a 3-hour show. It might not even be a 2, or it might just be a 1-hour show. That's why I'm saying, like, after today's show, while I'm working on post-show stuff, like getting video clips chopped up via Opus Clip. If you know any creators who might want to use Opus Clip, I think Boston Brian might do it or might do something similar, but if you know any other creators who might benefit from that, I have a video on it on my channel. Send them that video, say, hey, consider trying out this tool. It's helped Liberal Dan Radio increase his views exponentially. Is that exponentially? At least a lot. And it also helps out the show. So anyway, hey, Nefarious Enough, good to see you. And that's Orville, right? Or am I wrong? But let's talk about all of the fun stuff. We won't get to the. I'm going to give a couple more minutes for people to meander in. I understand that Wednesdays again are not the best viewed show or the best viewed day of all of the days because of other people who are having shows right now. I think Hal is going a little long today, and that's fine. I don't begrudge Hal at all, but other people I might begrudge. But again, we all got to stick together and fight against these fascists, the Gestapo that's in here. But first things first, let's talk about this from Truth Social. Donald Trump, or I guess I should call it Lie Social, Lion Donald Trump. We should come up with other different ways to refer to him, all different childish names like he does everybody else, right? So he goes, Donald Trump says on Truth Social, For a very long time, buying and owning a home was considered the pinnacle of the American dream. It was the reward for working hard and doing the right thing. But now, because of the record high inflation caused by Joe Biden and the Democrats in Congress, the American dream is increasingly out of reach for far too many people, especially younger Americans. It is for that reason and much more that I am immediately taking steps to ban large institutional investors from buying more single-family homes, and I will call on Congress to codify it. People live in homes, not corporations. I will discuss this topic, including further housing and affordability proposals and more, at my speech in Davos in 2 weeks. All right. So you're speaking from inside Betsy Davos? I mean, that's kind of gross. I mean, who would want to be inside Betsy Davos? But, you know, hold on. I don't have the thing in front of me. There we go. There I did. My. Anyway, so, but here's my question. What's the catch? What is going to be the catch? I guess we'll have to wait in 2 weeks to be able to see what that catch is, because we have somebody who is a president who is a real estate developer who made money on real estate, and corporation owning apartment buildings, corporations owning other buildings, corporations, you know, doing lots of other things. And Donald Trump has benefited by corporations a whole heck of a lot, you know, using corporations to go and abuse bankruptcy laws, for example. So what here is the catch? What here is the reason why Donald Trump is now wanting to stop large institutional investors from buying more single-family homes? Now, is it just gonna? Is it only large? Like are small institutional investors okay? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Like, what's going on? Why is this action being taken by this president? Anybody else, you might say, oh, well, doesn't that sound like a good idea? Well, the devil's in the details, and the devil is sitting in the Oval Office, and the devil needs to basically give us more facts as to what's going on here, because I don't trust him, and neither should you. So I don't trust that this is going to be anything other than something that's going to be a giveaway to people who don't need giveaways, even though it sounds like it's not. But again, this is the gaslighting presidency with a gaslighting administration, and we'll go into more on the gaslighting in a few minutes. But I don't understand. Maybe a stopped clock is right, you know, twice a day, and as such, maybe he's getting something right. But then again, if somebody said, why don't you find the good things that Trump did? Well, again, if there was a nice shiny penny underneath a 6'3" pile of crap, I'm not going to dig through the 6'3" pile of crap to just to find a shiny penny. There's so much other crap to deal with. I don't want to have to deal with that. So whatever. And the last time I tried to do that during his thing where I was like, oh, he's given the money to the, you know, he's given some, a democracy dividend or a patriot dividend, or whatever he called the bullshit, the 1776 that he was going to be giving the soldiers, which in reality was just money that was already expended to be housing subsidies, and he's moving them from subsidies to income, and as such, it's taxable when the housing subsidies weren't taxable, and as such, he's hurting the military folks more than, you know, what they believe and what his voters believe. So I even tried to say, hey, this is something I'd agree with, and then it turned out being wrong, because he's just terrible and doesn't know anything what he's doing, except unless he's doing a con. If he's being a con artist, then he knows what he's doing. So, hey, Janelle, good to see you. Anybody else that I missed who trickled in? I don't think so. Again, remember to smash that like button, and then the patriarchy. Let's see, what else were we going to talk about before we hit the two main topics? Oh, yeah. George Zimmerman is apparently homeless. He's like unemployed. He's homeless. He's having issues. Couldn't have happened to a better person. George Zimmerman is currently without employment, homeless, suffering mentally, and finding it challenging to find peace after shooting 17-year-old Trayvon Martin in 2012 and being found not guilty in 2013. So I'm not crying. I don't know anybody else who would be crying over this murderer, because in my opinion, he got away with murder. Because the prosecution screwed things up because of and then also they changed how the laws work in Florida by making affirmative defenses something that the state has to disprove instead of the individual having to prove. And you say, well, Dan, don't we live in a system where you're innocent until proven guilty, and the onus on showing that somebody's guilty is on the prosecution and not the defense? And that's true in most cases. But before ALEC and other conservative activist groups started making these model examples of legislation that could be used to turn our country into the dystopian hellscape that we are currently living in, it used to be that if you raise an affirmative defense, basically if you said, yes, I did this act that is normally illegal, but this is why it should be considered legal in this case, cases of self-defense are one of many examples of such examples of affirmative defense. It would be up to the defense to then explain why the action should be considered legal, i.e. you're basically saying, look, yes, we say that the defendant did it. We're just saying that the defendant was justified legally in doing it, and then here's the reason why, and you only have to prove it not beyond all reasonable doubt, but you have to do it just with the preponderance of the evidence. And if you make your case, then they're to find you not guilty because of the fact that your normally illegal acts should be considered legal. But what the conservatives have done in these states is they've taken the affirmative defense and said if a person raises an affirmative defense, it is the responsibility of the prosecution to disprove that affirmative defense, which then makes it easier for people to get away with murder, especially if they murder the people. Like, you get away with crimes in a state with affirmative where they do that with affirmative defenses, and it puts it on the prosecution. You now have a reason to off the person because that they're less likely to be able to explain why your actions were not justified as justifiable. If that makes sense. What did Jeff say? A daughter had a high school soccer coach, last name Zimmerman. He had an affair with a player and got a player. These Zimmermans, they're terrible folks. You just can't trust them, right? One of the things that I used to have to deal with all the time. I was like, oh, your last name's Zimmerman. Yes, and I think George is a murderer. I'm not related to him, so shut the fuck up. Stop bringing up my last name as if somehow you're saying something or doing something. So there's that. There's the Melania movie that's coming out. I saw a trailer for the Melania movie. Who all is going to go see the Melania movie? Not me. That's for darn sure. I have no desire to want to watch that movie unless the movie ends with her divorcing Donald Trump and leaving him and walking out of the White House with the Epstein files and all of maybe she could be the hero. Until that happens, I'm not going to go see a movie that's probably just a propaganda piece on how great Trump is via Melania. So, but anyway, the most important thing to talk about today, we will talk about the Lawrence O'Donnell thing in a second, because as I had in the show thing, we had ICE murdered a citizen in cold blood, Kristi Noem gaslighting us, and MS Now, Lawrence gets it wrong again. And again, Atrocious at Every Game was a little confused at that, but again, it's been a while since I've berated Lawrence O'Donnell on the show, but I will berate Lawrence O'Donnell on the show when he does Lawrence O'Donnell-y things. And but before we get to Lawrence O'Donnell and why he is, I have no idea why he's on the air anymore, because he's wrong so more than enough times to make us have to reject him as a show. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is the fact that ICE murdered somebody today. And all of these deep throaters of the boot have basically been like, oh, well, they were justified in taking those actions because, shockingly enough, you shoot a white woman and they're actually getting away with shooting the white women. Typically, it's the Blue Lives Matter folks are making excuses. But I believe she was in a same-sex marriage, and as such, maybe that's why they're not, going after the cop this time, like they went after the cops who were defending the Capitol from the terrorists on January 6, 2021. But, so again, I want to warn, I know, I'm being terrible at Atrocious at Every Game. I'm teasing what Lawrence did, but not getting to it. I'm sorry. I do want to give a little more people to trickle in, because I know fewer people are going to be talking about that particular point than we'll be talking about the ICE murders from today. I already know Boston Bryant's talking about the ICE murders. I know Hal's talked about the ICE murders whatever. But we're going to go ahead and we are going to watch the video. And we're going to watch this video, and I'm just going to pre-warn if you haven't seen it already, it shows graphic things, and there's bad language. There's some wordy dirds on there, so be careful. If you don't want to see it, avert your eyes away for a smidge. But yes, warning, graphic content is coming up. So here is this vehicle that's right here, stopped in the middle of the road. Apparently she was just observing ICE behavior or whatever. I don't know, maybe she was trying to make it difficult for people to travel down the road. I don't know. Not something that should be shot for. Not something that the use of deadly force is. And we're going to stop at two key moments here. We're going to stop to show you exactly why this administration is gaslighting us. But let's watch what happened first, and then we're going to watch what happened afterwards when Noem tried to gaslight the entire citizenry on what happened today. So, all right, so right there, you see rear lights. So right now, the person is backing up, about to back up the vehicle, right? So she's backing up the vehicle. And as you can see, there is a person up here that's up front. There is a person who is up here. But and right now, the wheels are facing this way. And look, there is the tires turning to the right. She is not driving at this person. She is trying to drive around the person. She is trying to dodge the person, whoever is here, whether it's an actual ICE officer, somebody who's law enforcement, or somebody who, is just a piece of shit helping. I'm assuming it's an ICE officer, an ICE agent, one of the Mar-a-Lago Gestapo folks. And see, as you can see, the wheels are turning. There's the first shot, and as the first shot is made, she's now there. He's over here. He's over here. He's not in front of the car. She turned the car to go away from the person. And then two more shots when he's next to the car. This is a murder. This is a murder. I don't know how you could justify this as anything other than a murder. Oh, she was... Well, we'll get to Kristi Noem in a second and what Kristi Noem said. But then the car goes on and crashes because the person died at the scene, shot 3 times in the face. And then there was another video where a doctor was saying, "I'm a doctor, let me help," and ICE and other law enforcement would not let the doctor go treat the wounds. This person was no longer that. The car was incapacitated and she's bleeding out. And they're freaking not letting a doctor perform her duty as a doctor to help out? Again, that even more cements that it's murder. But let us go ahead and watch all gaslighting. The garden gnome herself, Kristi Noem, and she gives a press conference about what's going on, what happened today, and every single thing she said, except for one thing in the commentary about what happened today in Minneapolis, what happened today with the murder, is absolutely a lie, is absolutely gaslighting. Yes, the puppy killer.
You asked about a shooting that we just had in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was an act of domestic terrorism?
Wrong. There was no domestic terrorism. It's not domestic terrorism whatsoever. Let's continue.
What happened, it was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because...
They got stuck in the snow? Does that look like anybody is stuck in the goddamn snow? Like, how can you believe anything that comes out of this administration? And again, this is the same idiot that said that for 6 months, at the point where she said it, that we didn't have any illegal border crossings. So she's a liar, because that's just full of crap. But who's stuck in the snow? Clearly the person who got murdered wasn't stuck in the snow. Clearly the other people who earlier in the video, That person's not stuck in the snow, right? There's no snow there to be stuck in. Nobody is stuck in the snow. Let's continue to hear what this gaslight. I mean, look, they're gaslighting so much here. They're gaslighting so much that they're going to have to start fracking more to be able to get enough gas to continue gaslighting the entire nation. Of course, they support fracking, so no one would be surprised. Maybe that's the reason why they gaslight so much, is because they want to justify more fracking. But let's continue to hear what this dog murderer has to say.
Because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis, they were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them. And
Yeah, there was nobody there pushing a vehicle. Who was pushing a vehicle? Did you see anybody pushing a vehicle? I didn't see anybody pushing a vehicle. Yet supposedly they were pushing a vehicle. Is another lie that this horrible person, the face melter in chief or whatever, head of DHS, is trying to tell us.
And those surrounding them, and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle.
Nope.
An
Let's hear what
officer
she said again.
attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and
Attack them and those surrounding them. No, there was nobody who was attacked. She was in a vehicle, as we saw. Somebody reached for the door handle as she was backing away to try and get out, and then she turned the wheel to make sure that she was going around the other person that was in front. There was absolutely no way that anybody with working brain cells and working eyes, there's no way that you should be able to watch the video and say, oh, this is correct. This is 100% bullshit by this administration.
ram them with her vehicle.
And no one was rammed.
An officer of ours acted quickly and
he jumped out of the way, and he did act quickly. He put out 3 shots over the course of what, a second and a half? 3 whole shots.
defensively shot to
That was not defensively shooting.
protect himself and the people around him.
There was no, and actually, in fact, what he did made things less safe because the car was in motion, and who knows who else that car might have hit had it not just went into the curb and just, I think it hit a car or something, but it could have hit anybody else that was on there because you now had a car that was in motion being driven by a dead person or a person who was at least injured at the time.
And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased.
That's the only truthful thing she said that entire time. The only truthful thing she said was that she was hit by a bullet and that she's deceased. Anything else that was said before that was crap. This administration is just going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. And what the sickening thing is that these MAGA conservatives are going to sit here and defend, why didn't she comply? They'll say things like, why didn't she comply? Oh, I don't know. I was not under the assumption that failure to comply in and of itself was justification to use deadly force. Guess what? It's not. Of course, we should all be used to conservatives saying, why didn't they comply? Because that's what they say every time. But these people we remember many examples of what has gone on with law enforcement and why we say all cops are bastards. Why do we say that? Because of the way that the police officers and law enforcement will form circles around themselves to protect themselves from harm coming to them legally, even if what they do is wrong. It is the responsibility of the police to arrest bad police, but they don't do it. They instead make excuses. What happened with Laquan McDonald, for example? I always go back to the Laquan McDonald case. He was shot how many times? A ridiculous amount of times in front of a Burger King. One of the reasons I remember the name, because it was Laquan McDonald shot outside of Burger King. And what did the law enforcement officers do? What did that person's fellow law enforcement officers do as soon as they got to the scene? Did they go try and, arrest the guy for shooting? Did they detain him for questioning? No, they did not. What they did instead was they went to all of the businesses around there trying to get the video of what happened so that they could confiscate it so that nobody would have access to it. Because they didn't want evidence to be able to be used against their fellow law enforcement buddy. We've seen a situation where there have been several times where we've seen on video law enforcement officers saying shit like, stop resisting when they are not resisting. Or they'll be screaming out, stop grabbing for my weapon, when nobody was grabbing for the weapon. And the reason that they do this is because they want to put enough plausible deniability in the eyes of any juror who might see the video of what was going on and say, oh, well, he really thought that he was grabbing for the weapon, so that's why they used deadly force. Or at least enough doubt in the mind so they cannot convict criminally. I mean, it didn't work with George Floyd's murderer, but that's because you had 9 minutes or so, give or take 30 seconds, of him just leaning on the frickin' neck. But there was a case in New Jersey where you did see somebody who was going to get, I guess, arrested for obstruction or whatever. He was going to have charges put against him. And he was yelling, stop resisting, stop grabbing for my gun, stop grabbing for my gun. When a second police officer's vehicle rolled up and the dash cam was looking right into the vehicle where the two were supposedly fighting for the weapon. And it shows what? That the person was not fighting for the weapon. They were not trying to grab the gun, and that person was then acquitted, or at least charges were dropped, because it was shown by the second camera that the police officer was just yelling bullshit to try and protect himself in case he decided to shoot the guy. And I posited on the show a while ago, like I think even well before I got onto YouTube, that when law enforcement officers do it, that there's so many law enforcement officers who take these actions. There's so many law enforcement officers who yell, stop resisting when they're not resisting, who yell, stop grabbing for my gun when they're not grabbing for the gun. I think Alton Gillespie might be another, not Alton Gillespie, that's a person in the chat. Somebody else, Alton Sterling is somebody, I think, from Baton Rouge, who I think they also were yelling, stop resisting, stop grabbing for my gun. And again, I posited again that this must be some sort of unofficial training that these officers go through to be told that you say this, you shout this, because this is going to protect you in court. And I've had cops call in anonymously to the show who have said that is in fact true, that he has seen law enforcement officers who are rookies getting trained by more seasoned veterans of the force. And they basically said, if you're in this situation, just yell those things. It doesn't matter that they're not doing those things. What matters is enough cameras catch you saying these things so that a jury won't convict you of murder if you happen to murder the person. I happen to know other law enforcement officers locally, and they also confirmed that they were told to just yell, stop resisting, stop grabbing for my weapon, stop reaching for my weapon, etc. All these other things to enable them to get away with any potential crime they might be charged with if they are charged with a crime of murdering somebody or any sort of violence against them. And well, the reason they were violent was because they were resisting arrest. That's why they yell it, to put enough plausible deniability in the hearts and the minds of these jurors. So you wonder why people say all cops are bastards? That's why they say all cops are bastards. Now, I used to not say it. I used to say, look, there are some police officers who do try to do the right thing, and as such, I'm not going to say that they all are bastards, even though I understood the arguments as to why people would make those arguments as to why cops are bastards in the first place. But then I decided, you know what, there's too many examples of bad cops, and I often will say in other circumstances that the exception proves the rule. So if we do happen to find one or two good ones that are out there, like maybe the New York police officer who went ahead and started trying to arrest the ICE officers for doing illegal arrests in New York City, you know, the exception then proves the rule. So the good cop exception proves the rule that, generally speaking, all cops are bastards. So there you go. I know Big Hook says, remember when you are recording them, then they played copyright music on their phones to stop YouTube play of their misdeeds. Unfortunately, I don't think that happens anymore, simply because of the fact that now YouTube, for the most part, if you're playing music that's copyrighted, they're just going to, in most cases, share the revenue with the person whose copyright the music belongs to. So I don't know how often that would work, but it's still, I still wouldn't put it past them to try, because they're always going to try and get away with murder. And as we've seen right now, our not our chief law enforcement officer, but the head of the Homeland Security, who's the head of ICE, head of Border Patrol, whatever, is basically saying, hey, we are going to lie to the public, lie to the American people, lie to the media, and tell them all these things that happened that didn't happen. And it's pathetic. And the fact that these people will continuously just support them just shows exactly why MAGA is a cult. Right? So, but hey, good big hug. Hey, Teresa, good to see you. Or Bilby says, if there's a vehicle screaming towards you, the worst thing a person could do is kill the driver who was control the vehicle. Exactly. And the car wasn't even screaming towards anybody. The car was moving very slowly. Even if the person did get impacted briefly, it wasn't a threat to that person's life. But I've seen no video of it. If there's a video where it's like coming from the side and it's up elevated, like maybe a second or third floor, and the camera's going down, and you see the guy kind of jump back, and the conservatives are trying to say that is him dodging the car. No, to me, in my opinion, it's that person moving over to get a better shot to get away with murder, to be able to more successfully murder the person. That's what I see in that video. If there are other videos that come out that show that the police officer was having it directly heading towards him, still, why the second or third shot when you were out of harm's way? Why those second or third shots? It's the same argument that I make about Kyle Rittenhouse. When Kyle Rittenhouse was on trial, and Kyle Rittenhouse put 3 shots into, what's his face? The one guy who, the first guy that he killed or whatever. People be like, after the first shot, he was falling. After that first shot, that person was falling. And Rittenhouse himself said that he knew that the shots that because conservatives were trying to say, well, Rittenhouse heard shots in the air. And as such, he didn't know whether or not the guy was going to coming at him had a gun or not. Well, Rittenhouse literally testified during his trial that he knew that he didn't have a gun, that he knew that the shots didn't come from this individual. So the conservative argument was they were just trying to pull that out of their asses or out of thin air or out of somewhere. I don't know where it was. But when Rittenhouse put the first round into him, he was already collapsing. There was nothing else that Rittenhouse had to do. Rittenhouse then fired another 2 shots, which to me should have shown the malicious intent that he had. Well, now Kyle Rittenhouse has tweeted out, maybe I should go to Minnesota. Well, maybe you should kiss my ass, and maybe you should have gotten thrown away in prison. The only thing that I could say about that is that if he does go into Minnesota and he does try and play, I'm going to be an ICE agent now, I'm going to be Mr. Second Amendment, because that was Rittenhouse 2A, I think is his Twitter handle or whatever. Now, if he goes in there and he actually kills somebody, maybe that tweet can be used against him to show that he actually did have intent to come across and murder more people. So again, why did that police officer had to put another 2 rounds into the driver? I don't know. But to me, it's the murderous intent. It's just these people not using proper force escalation techniques and not caring about using proper force escalation. Chad, Jesus Christ. We already talked about this, Chad. You said it's pretty clear she should have complied with what she was being told. Non-compliance is not a reason to use deadly force. Why y'all continue to bring that up, it's enraging. It is not okay to use deadly force simply because somebody failed to comply with an order, regardless of the legality of that order. Can we at least agree on that? That there are, look, I went through a citizens police academy to learn more about the police in one of the cities that I lived at before I moved into New Orleans. I think it was Kenner when I went. I think it was the Kenner Police Department in Kenner, Louisiana, had a citizens police academy where you could show up and they will show you all sorts of things about how the police officers do their jobs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I wanted to learn. Exactly what they go through. One of the things, that they went through was proper force escalation including putting you into scenarios, putting you into a simulator where you have a gun that shoots basically blanks, but it actually shoots something that goes into the screen or whatever, and the system monitors you and tells you whether or not you were justified in using deadly force. Now, I passed it. In the scenarios that I took part in, I passed it. There was one point where I was like 0.17 seconds after deadly force was allowed, and I used it in the simulator, but I passed it. But I know for sure that there are times when deadly force is justified, and there are times when deadly force is not justified. Non-compliance was never an example of when deadly force was justified. But yeah, if an officer tells you to get out of your vehicle and you proceed to go in reverse and forward, it's hard to dead end. What? Defend, I guess is what you said? No, I could defend all you want because the person clearly was backing away and then moving this way to try and make sure that she didn't hit anybody as she was leaving the scene to get out of the way. And that's, whatever. But it's an illegal murder. Murder is an illegal death. This killing of this individual should be considered illegal. It should cause this individual to be fired, but ICE isn't going to fire because you already have Kristi Noem gaslighting the entirety of the nation with her bullshit. So, again, we're not having a super long show today just to catch everybody back up. I think we have double the viewers now that we had prior. However, I did just want to let everybody know that the reason why we might end a little short today because I have to draft my resume because the short version of it is I'm not currently out of a job, but the partners at the law firm that I work for voted the other day to dissolve the firm altogether. So the firm's going away. I have work to do as part of the firm to help them close the firm. So I'll have a job probably very close to the point where the firm closes. But there's already legal staff. There's currently big name attorneys in the firm that I've already seen, moving on to other places. I'm not saying the names of the people, but I've already gotten information showing that these people already have new positions at new firms. And so as the business goes away, as the revenue slows up, it's going to be harder and harder to justify us having our job still. So I'm going to have to act sooner rather than later to find myself a new position. So as such, after the show's over, I have to rewrite my resume. Wasn't planning on having to do that simply because of the fact that I thought this was going to be where I was going to retire. But 2026 screws me a bunch. And as such, if you can, obviously, I appreciate any financial help that's there, to make sure that I don't, just completely collapse and just economically just whatever. But again, one of the most important things that y'all can do, well, if you see any openings for remote, especially for remote jobs for IT folks, forward them to liberaldanradio@gmail.com. But keep doing what some of y'all have been doing, and if y'all haven't been doing it, just do it like the others are doing it, like Orvillaby, like P-Dubs, like other folks who are commenting and responding to videos, helping the algorithm. That's going to help the channel take off. And if the channel takes off, maybe I don't need to worry as much. But as of right now, unless anything else changes, I'm hosed. So, anyway. Let's see. Law enforcement is obligated to render aid after a shooting, even if it's a homicide. Exactly, Orvillaby. But not only did they not do that, but law enforcement prevented a doctor from doing that. I mean, they're going to say, well, we didn't know she was really a doctor. Well, what the hell else was she going to be? I wouldn't want to get anywhere close to y'all if I didn't have a reason to be. Because I wouldn't want to die either. If there's somebody in a vehicle, I already said that. Overkill, yes, exactly, overkill. Yeah, thank you, Primitive Icon, appreciate you. Let's go ahead and, before we get to, I think, what our last story is going to be. Oh, I thought I Well, I thought I only gave 5 of those, but apparently it's telling me that I've given away all 10. Oh well, I guess I've given away all 10. So I'll have to wait for next month to gift more memberships to the Liberal Dan Radio program. So, but again, early in the show, you know, as we come into the show, my last thing here, MS Now Lawrence gets it wrong again. So what am I talking about when it comes to getting it wrong again? So we are going to turn on, and hopefully I don't get shut down again for going live with somebody else's copyright material, but we are streaming it from MS Now's website. We're going to try and do as few seconds as possible to minimize this, but I'm asserting fair use here, YouTube gods, so here we go. So we're starting here at yesterday's show, starting at 8:37, and this is a very specific reason why we're starting at 8:37.
Donald Trump's most attention-getting lie these days is about Greenland. Donald Trump is never going to invade Greenland.
Okay, Donald Trump is never going to invade Greenland, according to Lawrence O'Donnell. So let's us take notes. Let's have it on alternate. Let us take notes. Is this not going to show?
The fake distraction story he wants.
Oh, well. For some reason, it's not letting me see it. I guess it's blocking. So we're just going to listen again to... we're just going to listen to what he has to say, apparently, because we can't view it. But again, let's roll back to the beginning and just see. We're starting at about 8:37.
Donald Trump's most attention-getting lie these days is about Greenland. Donald Trump is never going to invade Greenland. That's the fake distraction story he wants you to chase.
Okay, first and foremost, that is the fake distraction story they want you to chase, right? So he's saying that Greenland is not true, that all of this crap about Greenland is, you know, just a distraction for, you know, well, we know that everything is a distraction from the Epstein files, right? But that despite the fact that Trump keeps saying that it's very important for our national security, and let me take a break for a second and just ask these two questions. Donald Trump has been using the whole national security line a lot recently. Like he's trying to justify all of his actions. Tariffs, maybe. Did he say tariffs are for national security? I think I'm remembering that correctly. I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering that. If I'm wrong, let me know. But he's saying the windmills are a problem, that the windmills are an issue when it comes to national security. And of course, we all know about the windmills.
A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills.
A hoax. Anyway, so yeah. And now Greenland is, you know, also required for our national security. I would love for some conservative to be able to come in and let me know what exactly the national security threats are that are aided by having wind farms in the sea, or what national security threats will be prevented from happening to this country if we take over Greenland. And apparently 2 months is when Donald Trump is now saying that targeting Greenland or whatever. And now, he said he could use force. I mean, if something is a national security threat, why wouldn't you use force, right? He wants to use force. Now, conservatives will say that 85% of Greenland want to leave Denmark. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. They've cited those studies, and I found information that said that Greenland would like to be independent. But when Greenland says it wants to be independent of Denmark, it's not, I want to be independent of Denmark so I could be the 51st state, or I want to be independent of Denmark so that we could be a territory of the United States. No, they're saying we want independence because we want independence. They don't want to join the United States. At least 85% of the country, of the country of Denmark, whatever, at least 85% say no, we don't want to be part of the U.S., and only 6% say they do want to be. So I guess there's I don't know how you could be undecided on that. Like, I don't know what the other 9% are thinking. But apparently there's only 6% of the country that want to be that, but the conservatives are going to use the whole, well, they want to leave Denmark as justification for his actions because they're going to continue to justify all of Trump's terrible actions. But I just want anybody who is a Trump supporter, a MAGA supporter, etc., to let me know what exactly the national security issue is. And I'm not telling you to tell me national secrets, state secrets. I'm telling you, just let me know what the fuck is he talking about, because it doesn't make any sense that having windmills or not having windmills for wind farm energy is going to have in any way affect our national security negatively. I mean, I would argue that if by having more diverse energy sources, that would potentially help our national security, but not eliminating wind farms. That doesn't make any sense at all. And having Greenland or not having Greenland, it's not going to affect our national security. In fact, I would again argue, as some people said in the chat, it's probably more likely to hurt our national security, because if he invades Greenland, guess what happens? NATO disbands, or at least NATO just dissolves because they don't want to deal with us because we are, showing ourselves to be bad actors, or at least Trump is showing himself to be a bad actor. Suzanne says, give Puerto Rico and D.C. statehood. I agree with that, but those are U.S. territories. That's something that we can discuss. Chad goes, technically Greenland will be the 52nd state. Not if it beats Canada in. Anyway, let's continue, because we're at 8:49 now, and we're going to into Lawrence's show, and we're going to continue to see what he says about Greenland.
Donald Trump's never going to make a move on Greenland in any way.
Now, again, remember this. On January 6th of 2026, Lawrence O'Donnell said that Donald Trump isn't going to make a move on Greenland in any way. So when Donald Trump makes the move on Greenland, it'll be another example of Lawrence O'Donnell being wrong.
Donald Trump is never going to buy it. He's never going to stop talking about Greenland, though, because the news media cannot resist paying attention to it. Even senators are falling for it. Greenland is Donald Trump's distraction. If you spend a minute talking about anything Donald Trump says about Greenland, you are falling for his game. Donald Trump has thrown around threats to a bunch of countries since invading Venezuela because he wants to normalize the idea of invading countries. And the only country that Donald Trump...
Okay, so I guess he spoke about it for 30 seconds. So is he not a hypocrite at this point? Because because Lawrence O'Donnell says if you spend a minute talking about Greenland, then you're basically helping him out or whatever, you're falling for the trap. So is it okay to talk about Greenland because you only spent a half a minute talking about it? Is that makes it magically okay? You're criticizing other people for doing exactly what you're doing, Lawrence. And that's one of the many reasons why I have a problem with you. And not just one of many reasons. Again, Lawrence O'Donnell, to roll back a bit, he once said that Donald Trump, I think he said this in either 2015 or 2016. He once said that Donald Trump would never run for president. He told us that flat out. Donald Trump would never run for president. Why? Because he would have to show his taxes, because he would have to show what's going on with his contract, because his contract with MSNBC would have to be terminated. He wouldn't want to see that. He gave all sorts of reasons why Donald Trump wouldn't ever run for president. Guess what? He was wrong. And I have other videos on this channel that show exactly, again, Lawrence O'Donnell making predictions or going over the predictions that Lawrence O'Donnell made and then showing that his predictions were not accurate whatsoever. But yet he keeps saying these things. Now, good on him for things like the Kind Fund. Good on him for helping kids get desks and scholarships to be able, so that young girls specifically can get an education that they would be sorely lacking in the country, I think is Somalia, that the Kind Fund helps. But again, he's been wrong so many times. So when Lawrence O'Donnell definitively states that Donald Trump is not going to do an action, like in this particular case, when he specifically states that Donald Trump is not going to invade Greenland or take actions on Greenland. Malawi, yes, thank you, Reveal. We appreciate you for getting that one. I got the country wrong. But to me, it's like as soon as he said he's not going to do it, that to me just is more evidence that he will. But let's continue to listen to what Lawrence had to say.
Marco Rubio and now Lindsey Graham are serious about is Cuba. Cuban Americans like Mark.
And look, and we're it's not going to take that long to get to another example of Lawrence O'Donnell being wrong. Spoiler alert.
Marco Rubio, whose parents left Cuba before the Castro dictatorship came to power, have been dreaming for 65 years of regime change in Cuba. What we saw in Venezuela, what we now know was masterminded in months of secret planning by Marco Rubio, is as close to a dress rehearsal of an invasion of Cuba as is possible, and is as geographically close to Cuba as possible for such a rehearsal. It's not about Venezuela. It's not about the oil. We're never going to get the oil. Donald Trump.
There you go. Last night, Lawrence O'Donnell said, it's not about Venezuela. It's not about the oil. We're never gonna get the oil. We literally took 2 tankers today. Today. It took less than 24 hours for Lawrence O'Donnell to be wrong yet again. We're never gonna get the oil. We have 2 tankers now. Apparently one of the tankers had a Russian flag on it. Like, having the contraband oil coming from where? Venezuela. We're taking it. We've taken control of those ships. So, I don't know why the hell Donald Trump doesn't believe that, or I keep saying Donald Trump. I don't know why Lawrence O'Donnell thinks that Donald Trump isn't taking the oil, because he campaigned that we should take people's oil. Back in 2016, he said he questioned why we didn't take the oil from Iraq. He questions why we didn't take oil from other places. He says we should go bomb those other places and take their oil. He wants to take the oil, and we've taken the oil today. So again, it took Lawrence O'Donnell less than a day to be wrong on yet another thing in his commentary about Donald Trump. Let's continue.
Trump is playing games with the oil to distract from the real game, the real target, which is Cuba.
I mean, again, is Cuba a potential target? I don't know. But the fact that Lawrence O'Donnell is saying it makes me think that he's wrong about it and that it was really Venezuela that's the target all along. Remember, Donald Trump said that we weren't going to nation build.
We are not nation building again.
But yet we're nation building. Now, they say we're not doing it, but just because they say it, it doesn't mean it is. Just like Kristi Noem says, we're not gonna, that this was cars were stuck in the snow and that the vehicle was turned into a weapon. No, they're gaslighting. They're gaslighting all of us. Let's continue.
Cuba has always been the ultimate target for Republican regime change dreamers. And today,
I mean, he's right about that. I mean, they always talk about, toppling the government of Cuba. But again, they talk about it. Why do they talk about it? Because it's nice for them to have something to talk about. In most cases, they would prefer to not solve the problem that they claim exists, but to continue arguing about the problem and trying to yell at the problem to make it a political issue to try and get themselves elected. That's why we've never actually seen it happen in Cuba. They're not, to me, they're less likely to go after Cuba because they want to have the boogeyman of Cuba to exist so they can continue to attack the boogeyman.
after Lindsey Graham dismissed the idea of trying to take over Greenland, Lindsey Graham said this about Cuba.
And again, I don't know what to skip to the next, but there's a few other things I want to talk about, so we might go over some extraneous stuff, but again, it's harder to do because, again, we'll see. But we're still just listening to the audio, but here we go.
What he's done here, he's looked at the economic potential in our backyard. And Cuba, the communist dictatorship in Cuba is literally on life support. It cannot survive, in my view, without Venezuela and Russia. And both of them have been taken out of the game. So there'll come a day, sooner rather than later, where that dictatorship will go away. The easy way or the hard way?
The easy way or the hard way? So the easy way is to just watch the Cuban government collapse now that they can't get Venezuelan oil. And the hard way, what's that? The hard way would be the kind of invasion that failed in 1961 when the United States attempted to invade
Fast forward
Cuba.
a smidge.
Now they can do Cuba the hard way.
That dictatorship will go away. The easy way or the hard way? And once it happens, and the people in Cuba can have a free and fair election, then they'll have a tremendous opportunity to create a Cuba that's like Singapore or Hong Kong. It could be a place where you rewarded for investing in business. It can be a Singapore, Hong Kong, Las Vegas. It could be a marvelous destination for business and tourism.
They are very calmly serious about Cuba. Republicans have wanted regime change in Cuba for 65 years. Just when you think you've heard the stupidest question that Washington reporters can ask, one of them outdoes them all.
And look, I'm going to say here, I tried to find this clip and I could not find it. I mean, obviously the clip exists outside of this show, but I tried to find this clip that's coming up right now because the clip is given in a vacuum and we're made to believe that it is what Lawrence O'Donnell is saying what it is. So let's listen to this question and answer and see what he has to say, and then I'll give my commentary on it.
Is it something that the United States could maybe build a military base there as well?
Would. Sky's the limit. Might be a good thing to have a base there. I don't know. I'll let Trump decide that.
A military base in Cuba? Lindsey Graham doesn't know? Yeah, that would be really amazing. But we already have a military base in Cuba, at the southern coast of Cuba. The United States of America still owns and operates a massive military base at Guantanamo Bay, which is Cuba.
Okay, well, here's the thing, though, is that without any context outside and knowing where in that interview, like, it doesn't say, the reporter doesn't, it doesn't say who the reporter is, because the reporter is part of the gaggle, as they call it, of the reporters that sit there in Air Force One and try and ask them questions. So I don't know who the reporter is, what network or news agency or whatever that reporter reports for, to see whether or not the person is asking a question to try and do a gotcha moment to see how stupid Graham or Trump are, or if the person really is that stupid asking whether or not it's in Cuba. I don't even know if the question that the reporter was asking was whether or not we should build a base in Cuba. Like, to me, it sounds more like the question would have been, should we build a base in Venezuela and not Cuba? That would make more sense for the question. Now, are there stupid reporters who just try and, throw little questions to them to be able to, get their stupid answers and justify the imperialism of the Trump administration? Sure, it's possible. But without the other context, I can't verify in and of itself what reporter said this, why they asked it, and where the geographic location of where this hypothetical military base would be. When asking Google seemed to suggest that it was Venezuela, but again, how much can you trust that? Because it gets it wrong sometimes, many times even, when it's trying to look at things that are brand new and there's not much information about it out there. But I could not find that clip. If you know where this clip is of that reporter is and where you could show me the full context, email to me at liberaldanradio@gmail.com, because I want to verify. Because again, I'm not saying right here that Lawrence O'Donnell is lying. I don't know if Lawrence O'Donnell is lying right here or not. I don't know if he knows who they're really talking about, and if it's legitimately talking about whether or not we should open another military base in Cuba, or if we should open a military base in Venezuela. But if it turns out that he was talking about Venezuela, I will come right back on this show another day, and we'll do another segment where we talk Lawrence O'Donnell. We'll bring this clip up, and we'll basically say, okay, this is why he was wrong. But again, I don't know if he's wrong at the moment, so I can't really say it, but he didn't give us the full context. He didn't give us the question before, so we could see the context in what the question was asked, right? So anyway, let's listen to a little bit more. I think we've covered most.
And Lindsey Graham, knowing that, childishly says, I'll let Donald Trump decide that. Wait till Donald Trump finds out that Guantanamo Bay is in Cuba.
Now, is it possible that Donald Trump doesn't know that Guantanamo Bay is in Cuba? Abso-fucking-lutely, because he's a moron. I'm sure Lindsey Graham knows it. I mean, he's a pain in the ass and he's a piece of crap, but He's probably at least somewhat smarter than Trump, but I'm sure Graham knows, which is, to me, makes it seem like the question was not about Cuba and about, I mean, most reporters you would think would also know that we have a base in Cuba, that's Guantanamo Bay. So it makes more sense that the question would be about Venezuela and not Cuba. But since I can't confirm that because I don't know the times, I don't have the full audio of the interview and of the question and answer with the gaggle, or I don't even know if that's part of the gaggle, but I'm pretty sure it is because it just says reporter and doesn't say where the reporter is from. So anyway, I have my reasons to be leery as to the veracity of what Lawrence O'Donnell is saying about the comments about the Cuba thing, or whether or not the reporter was asking about the base in Cuba, because we already had Lawrence O'Donnell being wrong once on his show just a minute or so before, when he said that we were never going to get the oil, and we already have the oil less than 24 hours later. And also, he's like, oh, Donald Trump's not going to take steps in Greenland. Well, I don't believe that, because I believe that he would if he felt that he could get away with it. And he seems like he's getting away with more and more because more and more of our media is being more and more complicit. And it's not necessarily something that I think Lawrence O'Donnell is trying to be complicit in, but he's wrong so many times that his failures are helping the Trump administration because it's helping to basically not understand that Trump is serious about a lot of the things that he says. I mean, Trump even says he doesn't joke. But the amount of times that Lawrence O'Donnell has basically told us to pay no attention to the man behind the curtain or whatever, or that he's told us, maybe that's the wrong anecdote, maybe that's the wrong whatever. Maybe that's the wrong example to use. But he's basically saying, don't take Trump seriously, because he's not a serious person and he doesn't intend to do X, Y, and Z. And then every time O'Donnell says that, Donald Trump goes ahead and does X, Y, and Z. We might have been more prepared and more willing to fight against Donald Trump in 2016 had you not had people like Lawrence O'Donnell sitting there telling us that Donald Trump was never going to run for president when he was. He was clearly going to do it. But he was like, no, it's not. No, he's not going to grab the oil. He grabbed the oil, etc. Let's listen just a few more minutes, I think. I think there might be one more point I wanted to make on this audio.
The Trump approach is to take a distressed property.
Let's fast forward past that.
And have in our back.
They are serious about Cuba. They do not care about...
And again, Lawrence O'Donnell has spent so much time trying to tell us that Donald Trump is not a serious person. He's not serious about Greenland. He's not serious about Venezuela. He's not serious about taking the oil. He's not serious about running for president. But for some reason, he is now serious about Cuba? Like, how can you be so sure that he's serious about Cuba if he's not serious about other things? And if he's serious about Cuba, how can you be so sure that he's not serious about those other things? It doesn't make any sense. And he's failing as somebody in the media to properly cover Donald Trump.
Venezuela, they have never cared about Venezuela. The only thing they have cared about is that Venezuela helps Cuba by supplying oil to Cuba. Cuba is the dream. Venezuela is the rehearsal. They aren't going to go after the oil. That is Trump just distracting people, and maybe Trump even believing it, but everyone knows that isn't really possible.
Again, wrong. You are wrong. Actually, I should play. Where is that? Where's that audio? I should have had that ready to go. That's wrong week. Blah blah blah. Picking the wrong things. Maybe I didn't put it in there. I'll just play the other.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Marco Rubio has had to do a lot of flip-flops to become a Trump supporter after being a Trump attacker in 2016.
Hello to.
And fulfilled the dream.
This was incited by the rhetoric and not.
Let's skip past that a little bit.
As public humiliation as you could ever imagine. Nancy Mace, Republicans in Washington. Former Special Prosecutor Jack Smith.
Skip. We're on Jack Smith now, so it's fine. I still haven't had the opportunity to go through the Jack Smith video just to be able to see that. But again, point here is that I have no reason to trust that Lawrence O'Donnell is correct on this because he's proven himself untrustworthy on so many things. So, let's see. In the chat, see, blah, 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 blah. Josh Sees goes, what is your thoughts about using the interstate highway system, medians, and setbacks as renewable energy grid? Florida already does that. When I drive to Disney, when I've driven to Florida, you can drive through Florida and see tons of solar farms that are out there. Hypocritical red state Florida has tons of solar farms all along the interstate. Why? Because they understand that while they fight green energy, they still understand that using green energy is fine. And I don't see that they have any issues with vandalism or whatever, as Chad suggests might happen. Chad says, a simple internet search will tell you that offshore wind turbine energy is the most expensive form to produce in the United States. But you had 4 to 5 projects on wind turbine energy that we're already going through. So there must be some reason why these corporations believe that they could actually make a profit off of that energy, that it was feasible for them to do. And yet maybe some of it was related to some tax credits or subsidies that they might get to actually build it so that it could actually be generated and to the benefit of the American people. And, you know, they do that for oil, they do that for other things, so why not do that for other forms of energy that are less toxic? So again, it doesn't understand. I don't understand why Donald Trump says that this is about national security. Again, we know why Donald Trump doesn't like turbines, wind farms, etc., especially the offshore ones. And the reason he doesn't like them is because he doesn't like seeing them while golfing on Scottish hills.
A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them while golfing on Scottish hills.
Anyway, so yeah, the whole ridiculousness, like you have ridiculousness in Louisiana where you know, they'll argue against carbon capture. They argue, I mean, I don't even know if carbon capture is the best thing either, but you know, all these people who supposedly hate green energy and hate you know, being, you know, protective of the environment magically want to participate in these carbon capture projects because the people who do the carbon capture projects are the energy companies who then want to be able to get the money for participating in carbon capture. So, Chad says it affects radar, especially for detecting drones incoming to the homeland. Really? Like, there's no, like, sensor nets that are further out from the wind farms that would be able to detect those things? Our military presence wouldn't be able to stop those. Are those wind farms outside of places that would be in the trajectory of so-called supposed drones that might come in? Like, I just don't buy it. Again, my idea is that probably one of the reasons why he canceled those wind farm projects has nothing to do with national security, but because he wanted to enable his rich buddies to be able to short those stocks of the companies of the project that are doing those projects, to enable them to profit in the long term, to be able to get them to, you know, make money off of those shorts and other bearish type activities that took place that we talked about on the show previously. So, prevent radar from detecting drones. How wind farms interfere with radar. Radar shadows. The large physical structure of turbines blocks the radar signals, creating areas where target-like drones are hidden. Clutter and false targets. Rotating blades create strong reflections that can look like actual aircraft. Overwhelming radar systems and masking smaller targets. Doppler artifacts. Impact on drone detection, obscuring small targets, mitigations and solutions. Advanced radar. Specialized wind farm compliant radars are designed to filter out turbine interference and detect targets within wind farms. Software solutions. Interference mitigation software helps by analyzing and removing turbine echoes from radar images. Site planning. Careful placement of turbines and radar systems along with federal reviews aim to minimize conflicts. So, there you go. We have advanced radar, which I'm sure we have, that can ignore the wind, the turbines or whatever. We have software that can ignore what the turbines cause, and we can, as I said, which, you know, is common sense, we can make sure that we place the wind farms in strategic places to make sure that they're not in routes that a drone might take to harm us. So again, I think he's making much ado about nothing, and again, it's something else entirely as to why Donald Trump is stopping these wind farms. A, probably he wanted to help people benefit financially from being bearish and shorting and not doing other stock activities on these companies. And B, he just doesn't like to see them while golfing on Scottish hills. So, anyway, a little narco Rubio. That's great. That makes me mad, or I'm mad because I didn't think of it first. Anyway, let's just go ahead and just double check the things that we wanted to talk about. We talked about Lawrence O'Donnell from last night, George Zimmerman being homeless, Hannity. The Hannity piece I'm going to pass on because I didn't find exactly what other people were saying he did. So we're going to skip over that for a second just to make sure we're accurate, because we do like to be accurate here on Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right. We talked about the ICE murder that took place, that they wouldn't let the doctor help. We talked about the Melania movie. We talked about the Truth Social post about housing, etc. So P-Dub says, where are the mods tonight? Erin has been here. I don't know if she said she had to step out for a second or not, but Erin had said that she was here. I don't know if she has to prep for a job interview or something. I think she has another one tomorrow. Hopefully I might have some job interviews soon, because again, the law firm I work for is dissolved, or will be dissolving, and once it is dissolved, I won't have a job. Hey, Erin. So, hey, Troll Slayer. Kinky Streets, offshore wind turbines are the most expensive, hence silly. So you're a civil engineer, energy systems. Look up building networks. It's simple. You can do it. Anyway. So, I think we're pretty much done with the show for today. Again, we're not going to do too long of a show simply because of the fact that I have to redo my resume for that whole job thing, and probably start looking for jobs as well, because, you know, it is what it is. Maybe update my LinkedIn profile, all that fun stuff. So, but we will be back on the air tomorrow. It's 8 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern on liberaldanradio.com. To talk more about what's going on in this country. Maybe we'll have more updates and more examples of gaslighting, of the ICE murder that took place. Maybe we'll have more information on Venezuela. Who knows? But, you know, it is what it is. Again, oh, I'm sorry, that's Donald Trump's line.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. But anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Again, I'm sorry it's a short show. We'll try and come back more later and do more show tomorrow. And again, if they have Supreme Court rulings that come out, it's possible I might try and do a show maybe during lunch on Friday or something, especially if the Supreme Court ruling is something that, you know, I would want to talk about. If it's either the Louisiana ruling about the gerrymandered districts, or if it's some other ruling that might come out, we'll see. It probably won't be Friday night if we did a special extra show. Could be over the weekend. We will see. Probably not Saturday, simply because of the fact that Saturday is my wife's birthday. So happy birthday, wife. I'm losing my job. So I'm trying to maintain as much of a positive outlook on things, to try and not make it miserable for my family. But it's very hard. It's very hard to keep my head up, my shoulders up, try and make sure that, you know, I can do what I need to do for my family. But anyway, thank everybody so much. Appreciate y'all. Thank you, P-Dubs. Thank you, Big Hook. Thank you, everybody else in the chat. In both sets of chats, I should say. Thank you, Aaron, for being one half of the best mod squad on the planet. Hopefully things will turn around personally and with this country, but I'm not holding my breath on both of them because I don't want to asphyxiate myself. Anyway. Thank you so much. We're going to head out with some songs as normal. Have a great one. Peace.
Trump piled debt, trillions tall. Promised Mexico would fund that wall. Praised dictators, said they're strong. Had Joe done it, they'd say he's wrong. Had Biden done it, MAGA would they call treason if Joe's the name. Is patriotism when Donald's to blame? Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, full numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd shout no way. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
They wrote it in the laws, ink still bleeds. Treating women like soil, just planting seeds. She's gone, brain dead, not even awake. But the state's got a claim, gonna plant its stake. Say it's God's will, say it's life they protect. But they ain't the ones feeling pain or neglect. From Texas to Georgia, they set the trap. Rights rolled back while they smile and clap.
Gilead's here, this is true. Hey, MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator.
This ain't pro-life, it's control and shame. They don't care if she's gone, just playing a game. Keep her hooked to machines, cold and still. Just a vessel to them, not a human with will. No consent, no voice, no chance to resist. Just laws in place, written with a clenched fist. Hospitals scared, judges playing God. Bodies ain't temples, just state-owned pods.
Gilead's here, this is true. Hey, MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator.
Bands in the dark, they don't care who it kills. Sacking courts while they strip out all of your wills. But we'll fight back, march loud, burn bright. Cause this ain't the end, it's the start of the fight.
Gilead's here, ain't no grace. And those leopards are coming to eat your face. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator.
Not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator.
Obama and Bush's pictures got hidden, obscuring the past, history rewritten. Hung in a hallway where no tour can see, confirming his unending fragility. If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. Object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. The testing was the line that he said. Hundreds of thousands needlessly dead. Now HHS is run by brainworm quack, hiding the truth behind his back. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. An administration run by narcissists. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Of documents stacked floor to the wall, top secret folders in a bathroom stall. Charges were pressed, but the case was dropped. A corrupt judicial system he can co-opt. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. He'll swear it's fake news, a liberal twist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Downtown tents lining the street. Invisible people that power won't beat. Hide them away so the cameras can't find the proof of a system that's cold and unkind. A payout in secret, an NDA sign, an illegal bribe. Michael Cohen fine. Trump didn't get, cause he was much shorter. Did you just see it? It must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. We can't let him win, we must resist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. The creative director at WGSO had a little something he thought you should know. When Dan picked on his bits, Steve got real gruff. So Steve called Dan a flake, called him liberal dandruff. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Miserable Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest. Steve's about to find out his mistake. In this feud, Dan's Kendrick, Steve is Drake. Dan might not be the world's best singer, but he's got more talent in his little finger. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest.